Welcome back, or welcome if you're just joining us. It's the France 24 debate. We're looking at the legacy of Barack Obama ahead of his last major speech as U.S. president. We're doing so in the company of Ellen Kuhn's blogger, whose blog Obama à la carte, video blog as well.
Yes,
in French and English.
Pretty much in French, but I'm going to switch it to English as of January 20th.
Okay. Will it still be called Obama à la carte?
No, it's going to be called Obama Forever.
Obama forever.
Yes.
Okay.
I already said you did, so I own that, so it's mine.
You can also with us, Mark Porter, president of the Paris chapter of Republicans Overseas, who will be in Washington on Inauguration Day. Lucas Chancel, coordinator of the World Inequality Report at the Paris School of Economics. Thank you for being with us. We were talking about Barack Obama's personality before the break. Cold to his critics, cool to his supporters. His persona and his personality have turned heads the world over.
Nice.
Now, where were we?
I'm so in love with you. Those guys didn't think I would do it. I told you I was going to do it. I have no more campaigns to run. My only agenda, I know because I won both of them. And with that, I just have two more words to say. Obama out.
All right, several excerpts there picked out by our producer, François WIBAUX. Let me ask you, Lucas Chancel, with your students.
Sorry?
With your students,
yes.
What's their view on Barack Obama?
Well, I think that the students who are here in Paris, they all pretty fond of Barack Obama, but a lot of them had a lot of hopes in 2008, which were not all fulfilled indeed over the years. And there is one thing that Barack Obama was successful in doing, and I'm teaching a course on economic inequality, so this is what I'm going to talk about. There's one thing that's
why we brought you here.
Exactly. So Barack Obama was able to shift the political discourse on inequality. And he brought inequality at the top of the political agenda. As you said before, in 2013, he said inequality is a defining challenge of our time. So this is something that will stay. This is one of the legacy of Barack Obama.
And we saw in late 2016, in September, a report come out saying that for the first time in a long while, the inequality had shrunk. Is that true, that report?
Well, this is, in fact, the downside of Barack Obama's legacy is that there's a shift in the discourse. Now, if we look at the data, and we just released a new database to feed public debates on inequality. It's called WID.world. It was online yesterday. Well, we see that the top 1% income share in the USA, in fact, continued to increase from 1978 to today. So basically, Obama's era is a prolongation of the trend that was visible even before. So there's a shift in the discourse, but there's no shift in the actual dynamics of inequality in the USA.
What could he have done?
So basically what Barack Obama did was the Obamacare, and this was important in order to support and to prevent from the situation to worsen for the bottom 50% of the population. But then what he could have done was, for instance, to increase at a higher rate the minimum wage. So what Obama did was to increase the minimum wage from $6 to $8. But what he did was actually to just bring it back to its level of 1960. In
real dollars.
In real dollars.
Yeah.
In 1970, the minimum wage in real dollars of 2015 was around $10 to $11. So what we see in real dollars over the past 40 years is a decrease of 30% of the minimum wage. And Barack Obama was not successful in increasing this minimum wage back to its 1970 figure.
We saw candidates on the campaign trail calling for a $15 an hour minimum wage. Do you think that hike is going to come under Trump?
Well, I hope not, because that's the wrong way to approach this whole thing. First of all, Obamacare created...
how do you reduce, in that case, income inequality?
Well, that's a very good question. Instead of building up minimum wage so that people are on minimum wage, building more middle-class jobs where people have a good salary, where they can move from the minimum wage into higher salaries, which is what Mr. Trump has been doing since the day that he got elected. So this idea that Mr. Obama has set on an economy that has had less than 3%, there's only 2 presidents in American history that have done this, so Obama's economic legacy is pretty poor here. The other point on Obamacare is that Obamacare did not help the bottom. In fact, it worsened the bottom, because Obamacare is a reform of insurance, not of health. By closing down county hospitals that were competing with Obamacare, more poor people are out of health care. They have insurance, but they're not covered by health. And Mr. Obama has to take control of that.
Lucas Chancel, let me just go back to this then. Since Obamacare has been instituted, has it really made? Have you seen in your statistics the bump? Has it improved the lot of poor people?
Yeah, if there's one thing that contributed to the evolution of the income of the bottom 50% over the past 8 years, this is health insurance.
And you've seen that in your statistics.
And you can see this in the statistics. That being said, the situation remains terrible for the bottom 50% of the population in terms of real wages.
Yeah, it certainly was the piece of legislation that stands out. Dateline, the East Room of the White House, March the 23rd, 2010.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States of America, Barack Obama.
Thank you, everybody.
Ellen Kuntz called it a big effing deal, Joe Biden.
Typiquement Joe Biden, alors.
And it was, in the sense that it was a heavy lift getting this passed. It was something that presidents dating back to Richard Nixon had tried to do but failed.
Yes.
This universal health care plan. Now, what's to become of it?
Alors, c'est pas tout à fait universal health care. I'm sorry, it's not totally universal health care. And it's true that even Bernie Sanders said he would repeal this because it's not enough of a single payer system. So it was an insatisfaction, but at the same time, it's on the mantle of the democratic achievements over the course of a century, along with Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, which are things that Paul Ryan is seeking to privatize. I would argue that
He's not seeking to privatize that. It's not on the platform.
Thank you. I would argue that the Republican doctrine is to punish the poor. It's a very interesting notion of what welfare. We can either have welfare for people, or we can have welfare for corporations. And the Republican choice...
Well, Obama's helped welfare for corporations. That's
yes, but it's been a mix of also real-world solutions for actual people.
And Obama hasn't accomplished those, don't you think?
He has totally accomplished those. If we look at the incoming cabinet, we have, if they're all confirmed, 18 people whose personal net worth, their personal fortunes, are equivalent to about 45 million people. Now, we can say congratulations to them for having succeeded in life and in business, and that they're great business people, and they're going to bring those business skills to Washington. The other risk is that we're looking at a kleptocracy that would make all these African dictators to look like to look like amateurs. Well, I would just say that specifically, from a constitutional point of view, not from my point of view, but there is the notion of self-dealing and interference with foreign governance that is written into our Constitution that is very problematic.
Again, lots of issues that we'll bring up when we talk after Donald Trump, and maybe we'll get some of the answers to those questions at his first press conference, which is on Wednesday. Let me read to you, Mark Porter, this tweet on the hashtag F24debate. No matter what Republicans do about Obamacare, 20 to 30 million people will have health care going forward because of Obama.
Or because of any other president that does health and reform. So this is something that's extremely important. Health is important to everyone, of course. But shutting down county hospitals and raising Obamacare fees so that poor people can't afford to go to the doctor because they're busy paying insurance fees because Mr. Obama was in bed with the insurance companies, that sounds more like your kleptocracy than anything else. It's really a shame what's happened to healthcare in America, because America had the best healthcare system in the world. Now, how we're reforming it, going going forward.
Sorry, when did it have the best healthcare system in the world?
Well, I think that you can say that in the U.S. we have quite good health care, and for Canadians and Brits that come over to the healthcare system where they can't get operations, for example, in Europe or in Canada, that is an indicator that the healthcare system is pretty good.
But you're looking at people who can afford a long-haul flight. You're right to say, and I totally agree with Mark, that for the rich, the United States is the best place to be. But the rich don't represent as...
And the county hospitals were a great solution for the poor. I don't know what your variables are on your statistics over there, but I can tell you that shutting down county hospitals has damaged the poor, because before they could go there and get free health care. Now they have to pay insurance, and they have deductibles, which means they have to pay $6,000 before they can go to a doctor.
All right.
So they're covered, but they're not getting good health.
Let's go to Philip Crowther, who's in Chicago, our correspondent. Philip, we were talking about how Obamacare will be the signature piece of legislation of his 8 years in office. What's the view on it today?
Well, you just have to look back on the election results, don't you? I mean, this was very much a centerpiece of this election campaign as well, getting rid of Obamacare, the repeal and the replacement of Obamacare that had been put forward by so many Republican candidates, and that included President-elect Donald Trump. Now, one problem that has been analyzed at length since this election is that many of those who did vote for Donald Trump, and with him a repeal of Obamacare, actually got health insurance for the first time in their lives during that period, during the period where Obamacare was put in place, and where Barack Obama had his biggest achievement in the domestic agenda. Now, that is one sign that maybe Obamacare is more popular than you might think. It's simply the name that hurt it and the Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton. Right now, a lot of people are rather afraid of what might happen to their health insurance, because there's going to be a very long stretch during which there'll be a lot of uncertainty. We already know that from the Republican side in Congress there is a very clear plan to repeal Obamacare, but there are a few little plans here and there to replace it, but nothing very concrete, and certainly nothing that has any kind of a broad agreement in Congress, meaning that there will be a lot of uncertainty for those who got health insurance for the first time, and also uncertainty for those who might lose it when Obamacare is eventually repealed, if indeed that does happen. Now, the US President, in his speech here in Chicago, will see Obamacare and will very much describe it as the biggest achievement on the domestic agenda, at least, of his presidency. He believes that is something that the United States needed and wanted for a very long time. Remember, First Lady Hillary Clinton back in the day tried to put in place a similar system and failed back in the day, meaning that Barack Obama was the first to be successful at this. But he will also have to admit that this was one of the reasons, probably, why Democrats lost this election. In other words, Obamacare, well, I don't know whether this is a clear statistic, but it's kind of a 50-50 thing. There are those who like it and those who absolutely despise it. Another reason why we saw such a division here in the United States during this presidential election, possibly also going forward.
All right, going forward, let's do that for a second. It's too early to talk of Obama's successor as standard bearer for the Democratic Party. It certainly won't be Hillary Clinton. Will it be someone in her vein or somebody more to the left?
The only way we transform this country is when millions of people, and this is what the political revolution is about, when millions of people stand up and loudly and clearly say, our government belongs to all of us, not just a handful of billionaires.
Who would have thought it? A 75-year-old Vermont senator capturing the imagination of young people in this last election cycle. I'll put it to you, Lucas Chancel, could his brand of old-school socialism be the new direction of the Democratic Party?
I mean, let's see. It's perhaps too early to say this, but it is true that Sanders was able to bring to the political debate some themes that hadn't been discussed in the past 16 years or 20 years in the U.S. And
did you ever think there'd be a serious candidate for U.S. president in Barack Obama's final year, talking about revolution?
Well, the thing is, some of the measures that he put forward look today as a revolution, like the tax rates, for instance, that he talks about. But if we look at these from the perspective of history, well, we see that in the 1950s or 60s, the USA was one of the countries with the lowest level of inequality in the world and with the highest tax rates. So what appears to be a revolution today is perhaps not a revolution when we look backwards in time.
Mm-hmm. Phil Crowther, which way is the Democratic Party going?
That's a very good question right now. I don't think the Democratic Party right now knows exactly where it is going, because this was supposed to be a party that was going to be led by Hillary Clinton in the White House for 8 years now. There was supposed to be a very clear transition of power from Barack Obama to Hillary Clinton. That didn't happen, meaning that Democrats now have to adapt and have to adapt quickly. It doesn't look like they've managed to do that so far. There are clearly two different factions in Congress right now. There is the one largely led by Bernie Sanders, the Vermont senator, who of course is now back in Congress after running for president. And then there is more of an establishment side to the Democratic Party, if you will, led by Chuck Schumer, who's now the leader for Democrats in the Senate. And of course, we're already looking at who might be a presidential candidate in 4 years' time, because remember, once an election is over here in the United States, we already look toward the next one. And the Democrats certainly know that they need something new. And there are plenty of people chomping at the bits, wanting to be maybe the next Barack Obama. But this shock of Donald Trump's election was so big that Democrats really weren't ready to adapt to this new reality. What they need to do now is learn to be in the opposition even more than they have been before. Of course, they have been the opposition in Congress for quite a while already, but now they also lose power in the White House, and they will lose a significant amount of power, or rather influence, in the Supreme Court as well, meaning the Democrats will have a very hard time to fight back. It might happen as early as the midterm elections in 2 years' time. That is certainly what they are hoping for, that Donald Trump's presidency might be so catastrophic that there will be a major vote against him and that they can then fill the White House again in 4 years' time. But that is looking a long way forward. Right now, Democrats are in the opposition, they are in the minority, and there is no clear leader really there. It was, again, supposed to be Hillary Clinton leading the White House, but she's very much gone now from the Democratic Party.
Ellen Kuntz, you've seen the news here in this country with a presidential election coming up, and the ruling socialists are a bit in disarray, according to the poll numbers. It's tough being a moderate these days. Is the Democratic Party going to have the same problem, where the moderates are going to get squeezed out?
Well, we are trying to regroup quickly. There are going to be elections at the level of the Democratic National Committee coming up in the next couple of months. There will also be elections for Democrats abroad, for those of us who represent the 51st state, like we do with Mark. I myself will be running for chair of the Democrats abroad France, so I'll be perhaps going toe-to-toe with Mark. We'll see in a few months. So, in fact, the party machine...
But are moderates inside the party being squeezed by people who are more vocal and more to the left?
We still try to have a big tent approach, and given the circumstances under Mr. Trump, we need to have everybody on board. So I'd say that all voices will be heard, but if you're saying moderate as in Mr. Sanders or moderate as in Mrs. Clinton, I'm not quite sure where a moderate stance is today.
Or maybe the old notion of left and right no longer apply. Donald Trump, who's not a Republican, he comes from...
He's the middle. He is a moderate in the center. Absolutely. That's why a lot of Republicans...
He's a protectionist. He's not for free trade.
Oh, it's more nuanced than that, François. But in fact, going back to the Democrat part, for example, the Blue Dogs, which were the moderate Democrats, have been squeezed out a long time ago. West Virginia, which was a great state, thank you for giving it that to us, by the way. Senator Manchin, he's quite squeezed. He's the last Blue Dog left because the Democrats...
But the same holds true in the Republican Party, where many moderates have been squeezed out.
We have 24 states that we hold the governorship in both houses. We have a bench of challenge.
But they're not moderate. They're not the old school
They're not
Gerald
middle.
Ford
Of
type
course they are.
Republicans.
We have a huge spectrum. We are the largest political party in the United States. We own 24 states. We have a talent bench that's extremely deep, and we've been working on that since Mr. McCain shook us up and woke us up and realized, I feel for you, losing is tough. We were together in 2008, but we worked hard in the states.
Yeah.
And that drove.
you guys succeeded. You succeeded.
We succeeded. And getting the House worked very hard. We have moderates everywhere. You guys don't like
Trump,
to say that.
no, but
in
Trump.
fact, it's
But
true.
Trump. You're describing the Republican winning machine, which Trump won against. He won against all the established party candidates.
Which makes it fantastic that he kept Reince Priebus as his chief of staff and Steve Bannon from the outside. We have a big tent, and we have all the levers of party, which means we have to work harder. You're absolutely right. If something goes wrong, it's our fault.
We're bleeding into, again,
It's a
that
narrow
Wednesday
tent.
debate that'll be
Frightening tent.
a Wednesday debate that'll follow Donald Trump's first press conference in a long while. I want to thank you,
We'll cancel it.
Mark Porter. I want to thank Ellen Kuntz, Lucas Chancel,
very much.
Philip Crowther, who's covering Barack Obama's final speech from Chicago. Stay with us. Our Media Watch segment is next. And we say hello to James Creedon.
Hi, François.
What's this? I see some people are calling it Obama Day.
Well, we have Obama, lots of different hashtags flying around social media. So the farewell address coming up later. So Obama farewell first. Also
I've seen Obama farewell.
That's right. Obama Day.
I've seen Obama legacy.
So Obama farewell, it's essentially people paying homage to Barack Obama, including the official White House Twitter account. That's probably not so surprising. You also have Vice President Joe Biden being quoted on the White House account. I've seen him lead the world not just by example of our power, but by the power of our example. Also, lists of his achievements from the point of view of those who support him, from creating 15 million jobs to decimating Al-Qaeda, etc. But then you moving to an even more, I suppose, elogious hashtag Obama Day. And some have been saying that today, this evening, later on, when the last farewell speech will come, is an occasion to change one's profile photo to a photo of Barack Obama. And so that sort of thing is going on. Simply the best, says one person who also wants to impeach Donald Trump. And so on and so on. So you get the picture. There are a lot of fans of Barack Obama expressing themselves on social media, and some even saying we should have a day to honour him, that being the day of his final speech. But there is also the hashtag Obama legacy, which is being used by a lot of people who are critical of Barack Obama. Trump begins to undo the Obama's legacy in 11 days, and it will be done with a pen, etc. So some people are anxious to see inauguration 2017
that was
move forward.
Obama when he said, I have a pen, I can do what I want, when he became president.
Right,
Yeah.
so turning it back on him, I guess. And you're seeing, just as you're seeing in every space of discussion right now, a massively divided social media between those who just cannot get enough of Barack Obama and want him to stay on longer and want to pay homage to him, and those who just can't see him out the door fast enough. One quote here as well by Ron Paul from his website is critical of Barack Obama, and it's being taken up here by one Twitter user saying, Nobel Peace Prize winner Obama dropped 26,171 bombs on 7 different countries in 2016 alone. Those are statistics from Ron Paul's website, so one could imagine that they're not completely trumped up. What else do we have? A cartoon saying, here now, don't mess it up. This is Obama handing over a rather messy looking box to Donald Trump. So these are Donald Trump supporters, essentially, also saying a new American holiday, not today, Obama Day, which is what people are saying it should be something to celebrate him on the day of his final speech, but the day of his last day in office. So different days being designated to mark Barack Obama, whether it be to celebrate him or to bid him a very fond farewell, it appears.
Now, there had been talk in the past that he could be named to the Supreme Court. I doubt whether Mr. Trump will be doing that. What will he be doing once he's no longer president?
Well, this has been such an unpredictable time. Maybe that could still happen, François, or perhaps not.
I doubt
But in any case, one thing that has been floated is, well, could he become a president of playlists at Spotify, which is, of course, the music streaming service. Now, this was sort of said in jest a few days ago by Barack Obama when he was meeting, I think, with the Swedish ambassador, because Spotify is actually a Swedish company. He said, "I'm still waiting for my job at Spotify," as a bit of a joke. Well, he didn't need to wait too long, because here is the managing director of Spotify saying, "I heard you were interested in a role. Have you seen this one?" And indeed, on their website, they've created a job, president of playlists. A nice bit.
They're interviewing candidates.
Well, apparently there's only one candidate, so he has the job if he wants it. So there you go. I'm not sure that's exactly what he's looking to do. I think he's spoken more concretely about rebuilding the Democratic Party. But there you go. He has that option should he want it.
All right. Something to think about. I want to thank our panel once again. Thank you for joining us
Thank you
here
very much.
in the France 24 debate.